Hello everyone, this is Matty Fresh from megapoker.net. This is the second part of the fifth installment of the Learn to Play Poker video series. We're going to continue talking about starting hand requirements and table position. We're gonna follow up right where we left off. We're getting a run of King Jacks. We're sitting in middle position here with early position players folding to us, so we're going to limp in here and see if we can catch a flop. To get more detailed about starting hand requirements, they're really based on your playing style. I divide them out into 4 playing styles: super tight, tight, loose, and super loose. These can be read about more on mega-poker.net, but I'll go over them briefly here. Basically, if you're a super tight player, you only play premium hands: aces, kings, queens, big slick suited, ace queen suited, ace queen. Pocket tens, pocket nines, pocket eights. You don't play junk. You don't play a lot of trap hands. You only play the best of hands. But that doesn't mean that you're a conservative player. When players like this play, they're usually very aggressive and very successful. Moving on, tight players, they play, the top 25, top 20% of hands. They're very strong players, and they're very disciplined. They don't play a lot of junk. I consider myself a tight player. The worst hand that I'll play is probably 7-8 suited or a 9-10 suited. Suited connectors are probably the worst hands that I play. As far as pocket pairs, I'll limp in with just about any pocket pair just to try to flop a set. Once you get into loose, they loosen up into, suited connectors from, 5-6 suited and up, and any 2 face card combination, any pocket pair. And then super loose, they play any suited face cards, any connector, just about. You'll see them showing down just about any 2 cards. For the true super loose players that are successful, players like Gus Hansen, you need exceptional reading ability. You have to be able to put your opponent on a hand, and basically they play position and outplay their opponents, and they don't really pay that much attention to their own cards. For a beginner or intermediate player, it's easier to teach and to be successful with a tighter playing style. At this point, we made a starting hand error by playing 9-10 suited under the gun. While that's a solid suited connector in middle or late position, under the gun it's fairly weak, and you flopped mid pair, so we're going to go on. But normally I don't advise playing this hand. He's telling us he has a king or something better. I don't think our hand's any good. We're going to let it go. This hand, Queen 9 suited, is the worst starting hand for a tight player to play with. They don't play anything worse than Queen 9. That includes hands like Jack 8, Jack 7. I know a lot of people like Jack 7, Jack 8 because of straight possibilities, but if you're a tighter player, get away from it unless you're disciplined enough to throw it away if you don't hit a nice straight draw, because if you hit your Jack, you're probably going to be outkicked, and you don't want that. At this point, Queen 9 suited in big blind, we have a flush draw. For this example, we're going to chase if we have the odds. He's betting the pot. We're getting 2-1. We need 4-1 odds for the flush. We're not getting priced in, so we're going to let it go and not chase. Queen 10 suited, or offsuit, excuse me, is another connector-like hand. In the small blind or the big blind, obviously it's a very good hand. In late position, it's a playable hand. But in middle and early, I definitely wouldn't play it because it's simply not that good. And I definitely wouldn't get into raised pots with it because you're most certainly beat if you hit a pair, because you're most likely against king, queen, ace, queen, ace 10. You get the picture. Jack 9 suited, not a bad hand for the button. The button in late position is where you can play your loosest game, even if you are a tight player. If you do decide to play Jack 9s, Jack 8s, Queen 8s, that kind of stuff, late position is the area of the table to do so. It gives you information. You get to see what all your opponents are going to do before you act, which gives you an advantage. That way, if you get bet at, you can fold before investing any chips in the pot. Right here, you have a straight and a flush draw. It's a very strong draw. You can bet at it if you want, or you can just check and chase for free. Oliver bet here. You're getting 2-1 on your money. Any 10 gives you a straight. Any club gives you a flush. I'd say that there's pretty good odds in a fairly small bet. So you make the call and you hit your flush on the river. At this point, throw in a bet and try to get some money out of Oliver. Didn't work out. Moving on, we're still in a late position with Queen 10. Again, late position is a very good area of the table to play a looser game, to try out some hands like this. Again, when you're in middle or early position, discipline yourself to fold these hands because they're simply not that good. Here we decided to call a raise with Queen 10 in late position. That was a position call that was not based on hand strength. We flopped an open-ended straight draw, which is a pretty strong draw, and it was checked to us. However, I don't advise calling a raise with a mediocre hand just because you have position. Occasionally, it's not a problem if you have a Queen 10, King 10, but optimally, you don't want to do that. We're going to bet our open-ended draw here just to switch it up, and we get a caller. At this point, Chuck called and then checked again. We're going to bet again. He's not showing that much strength. We completely missed our hand. At this point, we can only win by bluffing, so we're going to throw out a hefty bet and try to tackle the pot, which we do. We're still in late position here. We're holding King 10 suited. This is a fairly decent holding in late position, and with all the folds in early and middle, we're going to raise it up here to 4 times the blind and see what happens. Trogdor opted to re-raise. This looks to me like a steal. We're going to call and see what happens. He moves all in. This is obviously, he has a low pair or he's just trying to steal. We have nothing, so very easy fold. We're now in middle. We're in middle position now with Ace-Jack offsuit. This is a trap hand. It gets a lot of people in trouble. It's not a raising hand unless it is suited and you're in early position. You can call raises with it from middle or late, but I don't advise playing it in early position. Just let it go. It's not that great. But another thing to keep in mind, if you want to play a hand like this in middle position or late position, if someone in early position calls, that they're displaying strength even by simply calling in early position because they're at a disadvantage the rest of the hand. What you need to do is just lay down King, Queen offsuits, Queen, Jack offsuits, hands like that when early position players enter the pot with a limp. The reasons for that, like I just said, they're displaying strength. You're in middle position here. They fold it around to you. King 10 suited in middle position. You're still really close to early. There's a lot of players to act. I'm going to play a super tight game and fold here. Moving on. Again, King 10 offsuit in early position. Definitely no-go. Now this is an interesting situation. Queen Jack suited appears to be a very good hand, and it's going to be the last hand we're going to look at for part 2 of this lesson. Under the gun, this is not a raising hand. If you have to play it, just simply call, but a lot of times I'll fold it under the gun because it's honestly the worst position at the table. You flopped a flush draw. I just check and try to catch it for free. Now you have top pair and a flush draw. Obviously you can call here or you can raise, depending on your aggression level. You probably have the best hand at this point. You're going to call and see if your hand's good. And you see, that's another problem with not raising, because the blinds can check and then they'll hit two pair with an inferior hand like Jack Deuce. Whereas if you raise and you're aggressive, hands like that will fold. But that's the price you pay for playing hands like that in early position. That wraps up this video lesson, and for more information visit www.mega-poker.net. Thank you.